And when this alternative becomes more concrete for the nation, then they will be more comfortable in committing ultimately to an uprising and finally putting an end to this regime.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Para po sa inyong kaalaman, ang bansang Iran ay dating pinamunuan ng isang maharlikang angkan, ang pamilya ng Pahlavi. Sa ilalim ng kanyang pamumuno ay naging kaalyado ng mga Western countries ang Iran. Subalit dahil sa isang revolusyon na pinangungunahan ng dating Supreme Leader na si Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, na ang layunin ay ilagay ang buong Iran sa ilalim ng pinaghalong komunista at Sharia o batas ng Islam, bumagsak ang monarkiya sa Iran at pinatalsik ang royal family ng Pahlavi sa pwesto at ipinatapon sa ibang bansa. Ngayong mainit na ang sigalot sa pagitan ng Iran at Israel, nanawagan ang dapat sana'y tagapagmana ng trono ng pamilyang Pahlavi na si Reza Pahlavi sa kanyang mga kababayan na pabagsakin ang rehimen na namumuno ngayon sa Iran. Si Reza Pahlavi ay ang panganay na anak ng huling hari ng Iran na si King Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. Sa isang interview na ginawa sa Fox News, nanawagan ang exiled prince na kailangang mawala sa landas ang rehimen na namumuno ngayon sa Iran para magkaroon ng pagbabago sa Middle East.
I think it's important for the whole world to realize that the first victim of this whole situation were the people of Iran, with a regime that is at war with them, let alone the rest of the region, and perhaps beyond that. The policy of appeasement and laissez-faire has led us to where we are today. We could have a different situation in the Middle East without this regime. But as long as this regime is going to be there, none of the threats and the consequences of its behavior will be eliminated. And sadly, as you referred to October 7th and that attack, this clearly shows, especially when Ayatollah Khamenei actually defends that act and justifies it, as opposed to the Iranian people who have clearly demonstrated that this regime has nothing to do with their aspirations. And I'm glad that leaders such as Prime Minister Netanyahu does make that distinction. And it has to be right now a distinction that I hope many leaders around the world will make between the people of Iran and this regime.
Tinanong din si Prince Pahlavi kung ano ang kanyang mensahe sa mga kababayan niyang Iranian na lumalaban sa rehimeng namumuno sa kanila sa kanilang bansa ngayon.
I think the Iranian people will be the first one to tell all of us that they realize that if they are in a position to show the whole world and our region, our neighbors, whether they're Arabs or Jews or Muslims or Christians or whatever faith they represent, that we want peace with them. We want to be able to have cordial relations with them. We want to build a better future for all of us in that region that we can all collectively benefit from. And what stands between us, the Iranian people, and the rest of the world and our neighbors is this regime. And as long as this regime is there, our primary duty is to do our part in getting rid of it, but we will hope that the world this time stands with us as opposed to continue trying to negotiate deals with a regime that cannot be trusted, that its only objective is to use every resource of my country to export its ideology at the expense of the Iranian people themselves.
Tinanong din ng prinsipe kung anong masasabi niya sa economic sanction na ipinapataw sa Iran. Ito ba ay natutupad? Kung ito ay natutupad, saan nanggagaling ang mga pera na ipinangtutustos nito sa kanyang mga proxies?
They were not, because the $100+ billion that the regime had access to a couple years ago, closing into what happened and ultimately led to empowering it to support its proxies, including Hezbollah and Hamas, of course, didn't come from nowhere. If those oil sanctions were imposed, that would be $100 billion less for the regime to spend. Not to mention, of course, the ransom money for hostages that was also paid to the regime, about $6.5 billion, if I'm not mistaken.
Kung inyong napansin, binanggit ni Prince Pahlavi ang bilyon-bilyong dolyar na pera ng rehimen na ayon sa kanya ay ginamit para magpalakas ng puwersa ang Iran at ang mga proxies nito. Binanggit din niya ang pera na ibinayad sa mga hostages ng Iran. Saan galing ang mga perang ito? Sino ang nagbigay sa kanila ng mga perang ito? Ayon sa report na inilabas ng Foundation for the Defense of Democracy's FDD, binigyan daw ni President Joe Biden ng access ang gobyerno ng Iran upang galawin ang $10 bilyong sa mga freeze assets nito. Ipina-renew ng Administrasyong Biden ang isang sanctions waiver noong Marso 13 na nagbibigay sa Iran ng access sa $10 bilyong mula sa mga inipit na pondo. Ang waiver ay nagpapahintulot sa Islamic Republic na gamitin ang kita ng elektrisidad sa Iraq para sa kanilang budget at pambayad utang. Nangyari ito 6 na linggo matapos ang drone attack ng Iran na pumatay sa 3 US service members sa Jordan. Ang huling extension ng waiver ay noong Nobyembre 14. Mula 2018 hanggang 2023, nagbigay ang State Department ng mga pansamantalang sanctions waivers para sa Iraq na mag-import ng kuryente mula sa Iran, sa kondisyong ang lahat ng bayad ay ilalagay sa naka-freeze na account sa Baghdad. Noong nakaraang tag-init, binago ito upang pahintulutan ng Iraq na ilipat ang $10 bilyong sa Iran at ideposito ang iba sa bank account ng Iran sa Oman. Pinapayagan din ng bagong patakaran ng Iran na i-convert ang pera mula sa Iraqi dinars papuntang euros para sa mga import at pambayad utang. Ang waiver na ito ay tumulong sa pagpatay ng 3 Amerikanong sundalo sa Jordan at sa walang tigil na pag-atake sa US Navy at sa mga barkong pag-aari ng Amerikano sa Red Sea. Ang patuloy na pagbibigay sa Iran ng access sa bilyon-bilyong dolyar ay lalong magpapalakas sa terorismo, sa paglaganap ng missile at pagigting ng banta ng nuclear. Yan ay ayon kay Richard Goldberg, Senior Advisor ng FDD. Maliban sa access na ibinigay ng gobyernong US sa Iran upang galawin ang $10 bilyong mula sa mga freeze assets nito, nagbayad din ng US ng bilyon-bilyong para sa mga hostages ng Iran. Ang budget na ito ay nakatulong din sa pagbili ng mga armas para sa Iran.
And so all of this money is not going to, help Iranian workers who are being not paid their salaries for a long time. Instead, it goes to support the proxies. I don't know how crazy or lunacy the leader in Iran has in mind to continue this warmongering. They already have shot themselves in the foot, so it's a lose-lose proposition either way. What I care about, however, is of course the welfare of my compatriots. I don't want to see them yet again suffer from the consequences of this conflict. And as I said, the ultimate solution is for this regime to no longer be there. And the best opportunity exists right now, not only for our friends in the region, but for the whole world, to understand that a change of regime in Iran will put an end to all of these problems. This actually is the ask of the Iranian people who are fed up with this system.
Right.
And I believe that by bringing additional pressure, it will facilitate that process of change. But there also has to be parallel to maximum pressure, which means more sanctions. There also has to be a parallel policy of maximum support.
Tinanong din si Prinsipe Reza Pahlavi kung paano hihikayatin ng mga tao na magsimula ng revolusyon upang patalsikin ang rehimen.
Well, the demand is already there, but how do we get to that point? I think there are 3 basic and important components. The element of pressure from within can ultimately be a nationwide labor strikes, which brings paralysis to the system. And it's the least costly way to the nation to do that, provided that they have adequate support. This is where the foreign component comes in. If there is a direct policy of maximum support to the people in various ways, it could be internet access, it could be funding labor strikes, and so on and so forth, that will create the impetus. But most importantly, when a strong message of leadership emanates from the outside world, it sends also a very strong message to elements that want out, that want to defect, that want to peel away from the regime. They need to have hope that beyond this regime it's going to be a stable scenario. We're not talking about crisis, we're not talking about anarchy. And domestic leadership is important also. And the role that I'm trying to play in all of this is to provide that kind of interim leadership within a constitutional process that will let the Iranian people finally decide what they want. We need to work with leaders around the world, with leaders within Iran, to bring about this alternative in a concrete way. And when this alternative becomes more concrete for the nation, then they will be more comfortable in committing ultimately to an uprising and finally putting an end to this regime.